So the other piece of that is you talking about recruiting him for a year. And I think that most people, again, I'm not going to say most, I would say people, usually first time founders or whatever, they're when they need a person, they run a search to get that person. Like that's how it works. You hire the search firm and then you run the search and then you do all of that. But to get the people like Bill, that doesn't really work. I mean, you have to get super lucky, like hit the lottery for it to work like that. Is that an approach you took on any other roles? Is that that kind of long courtship and that kind of, were you constantly recruiting, or is that the one person you're like, I need that person, and you did it with Bill?
Well, no, I mean, so if you're a founder, a CEO, I mean, if you're not constantly recruiting, you're not doing your job, right? I mean, the whole, as organizations grow, as companies scale, you got to be loyal to a team, whatever else, but you need new people and you need to bring people in and you need to, things change. And so if you're not constantly recruiting, uh, one needs to be, I needed somebody, urgently before I was able to get him to sign on the dotted line, but I needed somebody that could actually, fulfill this vision. And I wasn't finding anybody else that I had this resonance with. So it took a long time. There were other searches that, I did at Marketo that I, went to an outside search firm and set up to pay a bunch of money. And the very first candidate they showed me was the person. And I had a board that was like, don't you want to develop a candidate pool and meet some more people? And this is kind of rash that you're trying to hire your first person. I'm like, no, they're the right person. I talked to them, so my hiring philosophy has always been, you got to know what you got to find. You need to be intellectually agile in that adaptation. Hiring and staffing is not hiring for a role. It's like assembling an orchestra, putting together a symphony or something like that, where things play off of each other, people adapt. So you see a strength in John or in Sanjay. So then you want a different strength in Bill to complement that. And so my view about building teams is that, it's this, like, it is the best thing of being a manager and a leader, because you're working with this sort of petri dish where you get to kind of play with it and assemble and put it together. So my view about staffing and hiring is, number one, never be dogmatic about it. Understand that it's a constantly changing, adapting thing, and that the people you meet will be different from your model. But that, the minute you see the right person, make it happen.
This is a question I like to ask people who've done this multiple times. Like, what do you think your hiring success rate of executives were? Would you say you were right 80% of the time, 50% of the time, 100% of the time? I don't think I've gotten an answer higher than 60, but you may have a higher answer than that. I'm just curious.
No. I certainly know better than that. It's just, and it's ridiculously hard. Because, this is, when you're hiring for a whole set of talents and skills. And, at the senior level, and you're going to, build a company with somebody, it's also like, finding a life partner and dating and, the human relationship and all of that. And it's just way too complex, the set of factors that are both, sort of explicit and literal, like, can they do the job, and do they have the knowledge and headroom and stuff? And how do they behave in an organization? And it's just, you're just never going to get higher than 60% or something
Yeah.
like that. And anybody tells you they can is lying to you. And so, all the stuff about, hire fast to fire fast, and do that with the heart, and do that with, with the soul and with respect and all that kind of thing. But there's just, it's just way too complex of a thing to ever be better than that.